Sure. All right. So just a quick review here. So things that we need for looking at business environment changes. You want to know what the baseline is, and a key thing for the test when you think about baselines, this includes approved changes, right? So once it's approved, then that becomes the copy that you look at in terms of schedule, in terms of cost, in terms of resources. So only approved changes. Uh, Talked about configuration management earlier. Backlogs. A question for you guys. Who reprioritizes um, backlogs? Is it the project manager or the product owner?
Is it product owner?
Product owner. That's right, Patrick. Because remember, backlogs are driven by user stories, right? So these are the requirements that we need to put into the product that are driven by user stories. And it's the product owner, right, that is in charge of that. So for the test, when you look at backlog reprioritization, that is the product owner. Now, um, once it's reprioritized, then it goes back to the project manager to make sure that we go through our sprints and work on the reprioritized list. All right. Internal business environment. So these are all internal to the organization, right? So organizational changes, um, the project manager and project sponsor have to be on the same page in terms of what's going on in the organization. And again, the alignment between the benefits of what we're doing with what the organization is trying to do for that fiscal year. So here's an acronym that you want to write down. It's a PESTLE, PESTLE, and this is for your external environment, right? So that stands for political, economic, social, technical, legal, and environmental. So PESTLE. I'm going to stop sharing here. All right. So Alicia, what does S stand for in PESTLE? PESTLE. S stands for?
Hey, Alicia or Alicio?
Oh, I'm sorry. To the last day. Alicia. All right, it's probably stepped away. All right, Elicio.
Social.
Social. All right, all right, all right. Chris, what does P stand for?
Political.
Political. Cinderella, what does um oh, there's two E's. Give me one of the E's.
Economical.
Economic, yep, yep. Uh Kelly Landaverde, what's the other E?
I joined a little later or popped off a
Oh,
little
no
earlier from
worries.
the last class, so
Call a friend.
I'm like, can I double it and pass it on to the next person?
Yeah,
Um,
call someone in the group.
I'm gonna put Victor on the spot.
Victor.
I knew it. I knew it. Environmental.
Environmental. Yep, that's absolutely right.
Thanks, Victor.
That's right. Kenny, what does T stand for?
Technical.
Yep, technical. I think we just have one more letter. Um, Jennifer Hernandez, what does L stand for?
Legal.
Legal. Yes, 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 yes. All right. So those are your external, right? business environment. So remember those. That's the acronym that they would ask you about in the tests, and not necessarily the TCOP, which is the technical, environmental, commercial, all of that. So it's the PESTEL. That's the one that they would ask about. All right. Okay, so updating baselines, you want to make sure, and again, for the test, they're going to try to trick you and say, let's say Cinderella is the vice president, and she talks to Kenny and like, hey, Kenny, can we add this? It's not that big of a deal. We just want to, change the color of this uh, protocol or whatnot. Can we do that? And Kenny, he's a servant leader. He wants to please, so the natural inclination would be to like, it doesn't take that much time, and I can squeeze it in. You want to just say yes, but again, for the test, all changes need to go through the approval process, and once it's approved, that's when you update the baseline. So beware of those questions that tempts you to just say, yep, let's do it. So all requests needs to be approved, and once it's approved, you update the baseline. So work that is prioritized and updated in the product backlog or in the value stream. So we talked about a backlog reprioritization. We were kind of ahead here. So again, a product owner, right, is the one that reprioritizes the backlog, not the project manager. All right. So as you're looking at change, you always want to look at the business value, right? How does it help the business? And for our purposes, how does it provide benefits to the patient at the bedside and to the caregivers providing that care? So that is our true north as we're looking at changes, right? As we're looking at every time someone asks for, hey, what if we do this? So you always have to ask the question, what is the intended business value of that change? And how do we measure it, right? How do we capture that? Okay. One of the hardest things to do, especially for really big organizations, is to create a governance structure. And we talked about this a little bit before, but creating the squares and the lines and putting in the names is one thing. Actually making sure that they are focused in their meetings, there's clear agenda, there's clear outcomes, there's clear delineation of what decisions can be made at the work group level, at the chair level, at the executive sponsor level. That is, you really need to, number one, understand what's in the charter, but number two, have great emotional intelligence to navigate the political landscapes and also to negotiate, right, on behalf of the different work groups when you have conflicts among work groups. So it's really challenging also to find out if there's missing representation. So I'll give you an example. This children's hospital in Philadelphia, uh, they had amazing physician representation in their governance structure, but they barely had nursing, let alone ancillary services. And so I spoke to the um, associate CIO and said, hey, I'm really happy you have great physician informatics representation, but when will nursing and ancillary come into play? And they said, oh no, for clinical, it's mostly physicians that are representing the clinical work stream. And so I said, well, that's going to be a problem because every group has a different vantage point. And just as you wouldn't expect the nurses to speak on behalf of the doctors, you also shouldn't expect the doctors to speak on behalf of the nurses. So you need different voices represented in your governance structure for it to work. Otherwise, you start creating decisions in a silo, and when you start going live with especially big project like this, 24 stories, you'll find that, oh, we forgot this group and we didn't consider their workflow. So now you end up with a lot of rework. So as you're looking at the governance structure, ask yourself who's not represented in this group and how can we bring representation to that group. Another thing that is often missed with these governance structures, especially if it's a really big one, is representation from the actual patients and families, right? You need to get their input. And there was this one project that I was working on, um, something that the hospital never thought about, which was where to bring, this was early when Postmates was new, Uber Eats were new, where to bring food that was delivered, that was ordered through the app. Because remember, just like for if anyone has ordered food at a hotel, they don't bring it to your room, they drop it off at the front desk, right? So imagine that for a hospital, right? Having to, to navigate um where to bring your Panda Express, right? And so that was brought up by a family member in one of the patient and family work groups. Like, how do I get my food when I order off of Postmates? So it took a while to figure out that question. So again, if we didn't have that representation, that question would have been asked. And there are areas that, especially if you're working with a children's hospital, where certain things, like anything with peanuts, right, are not allowed. Like you can't bring up, any, Thai sauce that has, peanut butter in it. And so there are these restrictions and all of that. But it's gonna happen. People are gonna order. And this was early Postmates, so it wasn't really on people's minds. So want to make sure that you have different voices around the table in your governance structure. So a project board is also considered as, your steering committee. And this is, again, think of it as a pyramid where you have all of the people closest to the actual work at the bottom. And as you go up, it becomes a smaller and smaller group, and the focus turns from tactics to strategy, more from operations to mostly finance, right? So approval of extra funding, approval of timelines, approval of more resources. So as different things affect or happen um, in an organization, the biggest one for us obviously was, COVID, where all projects that were not related to keeping the lights on were put on hold because we had this massive, massive impact that came from the environment. And so that's an extreme example of how your projects and the project backlog, the features that you're working on, can be affected by what's going on in your business environment. Okay, support organizational change. Folks, if it's okay with you, we'll just power through our 3 o'clock break. We'll just continue on, and I'll send you guys home a few minutes earlier. How does that sound? Sounds good? Okay, so we'll forgo with our break. Awesome. Thanks, Ed, and have a great weekend. Okay. So supporting organizational change. So change management plan, rollout plan. This is more towards activation. Training plan, who's training, what, when, what medium, what supporting documents, training artifacts. These are all the materials that you have, usually on a shared repository. Updates the project management plan. Does anyone remember what EEF and OPA stand for? You can do it.
Organizational process assets, I think, for OPA.
Come on, guys. EEFs, OPAs.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
EEF is Enterprise Environmental Factor.
And yeah, an OPA is organizational process asset.
Right.
And what's the difference between the two?
External and internal. So one is internal, and the other one is external. E is external and OPA is internal.
So CMS changes, EEFs, OPAs. Which one is it? CMS mandates.
EEFs.
EEF, right. Changes to SharePoint.
That would be OPAs.
OPAs, yep. Closure on the 405 freeway.
That would be bad.
Yeah.
That would be bad. That's true.
That would be bad.
Normal day.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be EEFs, yep. So you got it. Here's another way of looking at organizational culture and style. So these are things that go into the organizational culture. View of leadership, hierarchy of authority. For UCLA, we're pretty flat, which means you can talk to pretty much any leader and they won't tell you, report to your commanding officer, right? We're pretty informal with the hierarchical structure, which is really good. You can bring up your ideas and not necessarily have to be constricted by following all of the steps. Shared vision, belief, and expectations. Again, UCLA, I think we're pretty good at sharing what's on leadership's mind, and people can share their thoughts as well. Risk tolerance, I would say for UCLA, we're more on the cautious, right, versus the riskier group. If you had a chart that had Elon on one side and Warren Buffett on another, I think we're closer to Warren Buffett. Regulation, policy, and procedures. This is top of mind, and we have a lot of people working to make sure that we're in compliance. Same thing with code of conduct. Operating environments, safety is huge for all of our employees, not just the clinical folks. And motivation reward system, I think that we are pretty good at providing incentives for employees. Like everyone here in this class is an example of UCLA's commitment to professional learning. So I think we're pretty good in terms of the organizational culture and styles, but this is continuous process improvement. There are always things that we can do to improve on these different areas. Organizational structures. So for the test, so you need to be able to understand the difference between functional, project-oriented, matrix, and composite. And here's a chart here. Okay. So this is something that you need to be familiar with for the test. So functional, matrix, and project-oriented. So in terms of the team members are loyal to, so think of functional more like a operational or business managers or business type. So it's the operational departments that rule. And think of project oriented as if a PMO, is the dominant force, if you will, or is run mostly by projects. So thanks, Jennifer. So for team members, their loyalty for a functional is to their operational manager. So this is the hire and fire manager. For project oriented, the loyalty is to the PM running it, and matrix is kind of in the middle, a blend, a hybrid. So it's mixed. Team members report to, again, for functional, it's the hire and firing manager. And for project oriented, the team members actually report to the PM. So from an org chart, you report to the PM. Well, for us, no one, our team members usually don't report up to us. They report to a manager. So we're more on the functional side of things right here at UCLA. Project manager role is usually part-time, but for a project oriented is full-time. Team members role is part-time for functional, while for project oriented is full-time. So organizations like SpaceX is a good example where they're mostly driven by projects. And so the project could be, it literally is, the launch of, let's say, what are the names? Falcon Heavy, right? Is an example. So the next launch of Falcon Heavy, Elon would have a team dedicated to that launch. So it's very project driven. So you're full time to that project, and then after that launch, you could be reassigned to other projects. Control of project manager over the team is low for functional, right? Because they have their operational manager, but for project oriented, it's high. So for the test, just remember that if it's functional, right, the type of organizational structure, if it's functional, it's very similar to UCLA. And if it's project oriented, it's very similar to like a SpaceX, right? So any tech company that is really focused on projects. Apple in a lot of ways is, you have teams that are working on the next release of the iPhone 17, for example. But they're more matrix because they do have a lot of people that are working primarily in operations. I would say so Apple would be matrix, project oriented would be SpaceX, functional would be UCLA. All right. Any questions about this before I proceed? All right. So PMO, Project Management Office, this is the structure in the organization that helps standardize, right? The governance processes, help standardize methodologies, standardize tools, and they support, right, the projects that are underneath that PMO. So Mike and I are with the IT PMO, so pretty much any and all projects we help support. It doesn't necessarily mean that the PMs and the resources are part of the PMO, but we are here to support and provide assistance, especially with methodologies, tools, and techniques. Thanks, Alicia. All right, rollout plan. So as you are, getting closer to go live, you usually have, a rollout plan that you would use. Helps with knowledge transfer, training, readiness activities, right? Your go, no go, that would be all part of your rollout plan. And have you guys heard of the cutover plan? So things that you need to do like right before you go live, right? All the checks you need to do. Usually have a very detailed cutover plan to make sure that, you know, as you move from one environment to another, from non-prod to prod, that everything is covered and it's as smooth as possible experience for the end user. Project management plan updates, as there are things that are approved, you would want to update the plans with scope, timelines, resources. And for Agile, this would be looking at your product backlog, right? Moving things up or down depending on your backlog reprioritization. And again, for the test, who does the backlog reprioritization? Is it product owner or project manager?
Product owner.
Product owner. Thank you. All right. Training plan. So when you think about the training plan, make sure that it goes beyond just, the classrooms, the virtual classrooms, the Zoom classrooms, who's showing up and materials, but also think about making sure that you cater to as many types of learners as possible. So there are the very visual learners, right? So make sure that you don't have just text-based materials. Make sure that you have, graphs and pictures and diagrams for the very visual learners. And then you have the auditory learners, right? So make sure that you're explaining verbally, the different slides and you're talking through them, and not just pulling up a slide and have them look at it, because that would really fail the auditory learners. And the tactile learners, this would be your breakout sessions, right? This would be giving them some mini exercises to do. So think about that as you're putting together your training plan, making sure that you address the different types of learners in your group. How many of you enjoy audiobooks? Raise your virtual hand if you do. Sweta, you like audiobooks? How many of you prefer physical books? Okay. Kelly, you like physical books? Sweta too, so you can do both. As you can see here,
like-
even for just books, some of us consume it more audio, some of us consume it physical. How about electronic? How many of you use a Kindle or an iPad for your books? Carol, Kenny? Yep. So as you can see, even with our little group here, we all consume information differently, right? And so be mindful of that as you're putting together your training plans. Training artifacts, this would be, if you have training courseware, like for us, you have the PMI, PM training, the online training exercises from Michelle. And we have the test questions repositories in the Google Classrooms. The Google Classrooms, by the way, they don't go away. So your access will work even after, let's say that you decide to move to other opportunities outside of UCLA. Because it's tied to your Gmail, you'll still have access. So that's the beauty of the Google Classroom that you guys have. And even after this class, it'll still be available for you. If you want to go back, look at artifacts there, anything that might be useful for you, it'll all be in the classroom. Demos, so it's always good if you can, provide demos to your stakeholders. There's one of the things that I was helping this organization with is they were doing a POC, a proof of concept, right? And I asked, this was a different consulting group. I'm like, so what POC are you working on? And he said, we just want the robot to take specimens from the OR to pathology, right? And I said, okay, what problem are you trying to solve? And he said, what do you mean? Well, a proof of concept is not just demonstrating a new technology. You have to demonstrate what problem are you trying to solve? What is the existing solution to that problem? And what makes your solution different? What's your product differentiator, right? And after you state all of that and the client is interested, that's when you do the demo. Otherwise, just demoing functionality isn't really addressing the need for proof of concept. So think about that when you're doing a demo. Um, this is good. Um, Licio just shared a book, which is Art of Decluttering. That's pretty cool. Oh, and before I forget, if you guys are interested, here's the name of my book. Again, it's free if you are a Kindle, an Amazon Prime member. Amazon decided to extend featuring it in their Unlimited series. And if you like it, I'd really appreciate a customer review. It helps the book get seen by other folks as well. And one cool thing that I just realized recently is that if you're on Amazon and you just look up the book, you can leave a customer review even without purchasing it. And so you can leave a comment about the author. So apparently that's also a thing. So you can just say, Ian wears nice shirts. And that would be it. And so their algorithm, factors all of these things in. So if you guys like it or would just like to leave a comment, that would be super helpful as well. So yeah, so demos, make sure that you figure out what the problem is, what's the current solution, what is the gap, what's missing, and how does your product, your software solution fit in to that problem that your client is trying to solve. All right. So this is talking about change management. Oh, so this is a really good tip. Make sure that if you're doing a change request, that you're asking for one change request, one topic per change request. A lot of times people like to bundle different ask in one change request. And the problem with that is, let's say you have 3 items in the change request. Let's say, Sweta, you want to change the color. You want to decrease text character. And let's say you want to add another button on the screen. And let's say the admin group likes 2, but not the third. Guess what? If it's all in one change order, they're going to have to decline all 3 because it's in one. So you want to make sure that it's a single change request. So one request per change order. We talked about getting buy-in, communicating vision. Yep. All right. Okay. So this is an appropriate topic as we're about to close out. Employ continuous process improvement. We talked a lot over the past 10 Fridays, different topics, different ideas, but the learning never ends, right? Even for me, I have to review these topics before the Friday class. There's always something new to learn, right? So um, as you go about learning, preparing for the test, I hope that once you get your PMP, that is just the beginning, right? There's so much to learn, and eventually, I hope that you would contribute to the body of knowledge, right? Uh, be active in the PMI chapter close to you, be it LA or Orange County, and you can start by attending, and eventually, hopefully, you would be speaking at these events and share your wisdom and knowledge. The best way to learn about a topic is to speak about the topic. So if you want to force yourself to learn something, volunteer to speak about it. For that mRNA conference, um, I spent, good Lord, a lot of time for this 30-minute presentation to be able to get to know the nuts and bolts of mRNA. And I learned a lot in making that 30-minute presentation. So if you want to learn about something, volunteer to speak about it. Uh, so for continuous improvement, for the test, you want to make sure that you have ways of looking at, okay, it's really how can we do things better, right? Um, and it doesn't mean that you don't release a product if you just met, the standards, but always have it in the back of your mind. And another thing too is um, quality isn't just the role of folks in quality control, it's everyone's role. Continuous process improvement is not just for the quality folks, but it's for everyone to constantly think of how can we do things better? What are the problems that we haven't addressed? And just continue to ask questions. And an organization that stops asking questions is an organization that is in decline. So you've seen this in if you look at the top 100 companies in the world over time, you would see that before, I think the staying power was around 2 decades, and now it's less than 10. So companies that are not committed to continuous process improvement will eventually find themselves obsolete. So Edward Deming's philosophy. Did I tell you guys the story about Edward Deming's? How he was trying to get the automotive industry in the US to adopt his theories of continuous process improvement, and he was widely ignored. So he went to Japan, and now Toyota has an amazing continuous process improvement, and now Ford and GM are learning from Toyota, when in fact, it came from Deming who approached them first. So funny story. But yeah, those who embrace continuous process improvement tend to thrive, and focusing on how can we create a better design, higher level of uniform product quality, which means, for a Toyota, if you get a Toyota Corolla, the chances that you'll get a lemon is slim to none, right? It's not an exciting car, but the quality is way up there. So um looking at improving product testing, earlier we talked about, predictive analysis and digital twin, which is what AI can bring to the table. And ultimately, do this work and it will increase your sales. Has anyone been to this restaurant called Din Tai Fung? It's a
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Taiwanese. Chris,
So-
you've been to Din Tai Fung?
Yeah, love me some soup dumplings.
So I read this story. Did you know that in the United States, it is the fastest growing restaurant chain? And in
I didn't know
terms
that.
of
Wow.
yeah. I was reading about it the other day. And it was started by mom and pop literally back in Taiwan in the 50s. And it was the two brothers that brought it here to the US. And he mentioned in this interview that a lot of people, companies have approached them to be bought out, or a lot of consulting firms have suggested that they go public, right? And the brothers said no to both approaches because they said, at our core, we're a mom and pop shop, and our focus is to provide the best quality food to our customers. And when you have shareholders that are only focused on the profits, the best way to increase your profits is to compromise quality. And he said, I'd rather keep the quality and leave money on the table. And I thought that was very powerful. But because of that philosophy, right, they have greater sales. Like they're the number one. And it's like a huge difference. I think number two was Mastro's, but they smoked Mastro's, pun intended. It wasn't even like 30% more than Mastro's. It was ridiculous when you see the chart. And yeah, it's their commitment to quality. And so Chris, you've had their dumplings. Um apparently I think it's 17 or 18 folds. Like how they twist it? There's an exact number of twists that they do. I think it's
Oh,
17 or
okay.
18. Yeah. So that tells you how often I'm there. But
I feel like the quality has gone down a little though, personally.
have you? Oh, okay.
Or maybe I've gone to other soup dumpling places now and I'm just I'm bougie
Uh
now, I don't know.
well, I always get the um lychee martini, so my QA ability is compromised after.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. Oh, the chocolate dumplings are good too. The
Oh
dessert
my
dumplings.
God,
That
yes,
one's
yes.
so good, the chocolate.
Oh, look, there's Victor.
There,
I'm
yeah,
all
that
about the chocolate dumpling.
you can have the worst day in the world, but if you finish up with the chocolate dumplings, all is well. Yeah, they have one at the South Coast Plaza, and I think there's one opening in Irvine Spectrum, so I'm pretty excited about that. Um, but yeah, they're growing massively. But I was so proud of that story of their growth was a byproduct of their, maniacal commitment to quality and leaving money on the table so as not to compromise it. I'm like, man, that's very inspirational. They
I feel
they
like if
don't. Oh, go ahead,
I
Chris.
feel no, I was gonna say I feel like if you go in any mall today, like the chances of a Din Tai Fung being in there is like very
Right?
high. Yeah.
Yeah, like a big mall. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm. And there's a 2 hour wait, right? It's never you. It's never you when you go, unless even for the bar, there's a line.
Well, there's a line, but like when there's a 2 hour wait for a table, you can get like to the bar in maybe like 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Like
Right. Yeah.
yeah, it's great.
I
It's a
sometimes
good hack.
wonder if that's a handshake with the mall. Like say 2 hours so they walk around and buy stuff from us and then come back because you're already at the mall. So what are you gonna do? Go home? But because you
Yeah,
can't
it's pretty smart.
you can't make reservations too online, right? You can't.
No, I think you have to like get on the wait list when you get
You have
there
to
type of
walk
thing,
up
right?
there, get on the wait list. So, but yeah. So for those of you who haven't tried, that is the biggest takeaway from this PMP class. Go and try. Oh, they listen. They do. I didn't know that.
Well, at least I live across the street from the Century City Mall, so they do there and the Santa Monica one.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, I have to look at
Okay,
this.
nice.
So I don't look ridiculous walking around looking at stores where I can't afford it. They're like Rolexes at South Coast. I'm like, what am I doing here? Um,
I think
Thanks
it's
for the tip
Yelp. And that's where I did it last time, I think.
on Yelp.
Oh, no, you go through their website and then they have a reservation. Um,
Oh my God. Okay.
yeah.
Lizette, really appreciate you sharing that. You know
Welcome.
where I'm gonna be at 4:30. But yes, so I wish more companies focus on quality the way they did. And uh Chris, I'll actually be more mindful. I'll drink my lychee martini more towards the end, not in the beginning.
Fair enough.
Um, so these are some of the again, ways of looking at quality. We have Deming here, continuous process improvement. We have Duran. What did he do? I can't remember what he pioneered, but these are um some of the pioneers in this space. William Smith for Six Sigma, and the focus there is to remove defects, right? That's your 99.7, right? If you're following Six Sigma. For absolutes, conforming to requirements, quality is achieved by prevention, a standard of 0 defects, and quality is measured by determining cost of quality. That's Crosby. You don't need to remember this for the test, but these are just some of the pioneers in this field and the thoughts that they brought forth. Um, all right.
Yeah. And Euron, is that how you pronounce it? I always say it incorrectly. He's quality manager, so he did the quality planning, quality control, quality improvement type thing. He developed the trilogy, if you remember that.
Oh, Duran.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Mike. I forgot about that one. Nice. So yeah, this is the Mount Rushmore right here of folks in quality. So these are some of the approaches. Everyone knows of PD before it was C, when I was SA, Plan, Do, Study, Act, right? You plan, defined objectives, you do it. You study, right? The results, and then you act to modify as needed. I personally love Kaizen, small changes, right? Focus on small and build upon it. And that Kaizen methodology is now in every industry, right? Start small and build upon it. All right. So these are some tools for continuous improvement in the lessons learned register, of course. And again, for the test and in your practice, you want to do this not just at the end of the project, but also, once you achieve milestones all throughout the projects. So for waterfall, it's called lessons learned. For agile, it's called, starts with an R.
Retrospectives.
Retrospectives. Thanks, Patrick. Someone's still awake. Um, and of course, experiments. We talked about the A/B testing earlier and different experiments, to make sure that we are on track with our quality measures. All right, so after you learn from these continuous process improvements, you want to make sure that that becomes memorialized, right, in your standards, in your practices, so that, as you learn more, you memorialize it, and that becomes the baseline for doing the next project, right? And again, continuous process improvement is really a culture of the organization. And I'm proud that UCLA has always had this continuous process improvement mindset. And we try to share things amongst each other. There's so many opportunities for learning at UCLA outside of the formal university. And so I think that, this class in particular is a way to share all of our experiences with each other and to hopefully get everyone here um, to pass the PMP test. And that's another feather in your cap. So with that, our goal is to ultimately help UCLA improve the quality of our projects and the outcomes, which ultimately helps us provide better care for our patients. With that, we have reached the end of the final module. So we do have some time for questions, comments, and our usual practice of 3 shares. And we will call it a day, and I'll be heading over to Din Tai Fung's website. So let's do 3, and then we'll let you guys go.
Ian loves lychee martinis.
Yes.
That's one thing I learned.
Yes, sir. Yep. That. Yeah. Oh man. So Chris, what did you learn from that cohort? Yeah, Ian's favorite drink. All right. 3 more.
Well, we learned this week that Patrick grew his mustache out for a Brad Pitt movie.
Oh, is
That's
that
true. That's true.
no
It's
way? Is it really?
yeah. As an extra, not as anybody that actually hangs out with Brad Pitt.
But no, you're in a movie?
Yeah, they were filming something by me in Ventura at the racetrack. There's some I think it's like the sequel to the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I just sat
What?
on yeah, my acting was sitting on a bench very far from the actors and actresses for like 6 hours, but maybe I'll be in
Hey,
it.
hey, Mike, we can say we contributed to Hollywood here.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it was based in the 70s. That's why the mustache.
So walk me through the conversations. They saw you and said, "Bro, you want to be
You
in
should be
this?
in
Grow a
pictures."
mustache."
You give me a lot of credit that you think they saw me. I saw it. I saw an ad on Instagram, and then I
Oh,
just went from there.
I'm sticking with my version.
Yeah. They saw me on the street.
Yeah,
You're
right,
gonna be a star.
right. Well, congratulations, Patrick. That is super cool. Did you get to see anyone on the filming that
Not really. I mean, the director would. He's been in some stuff. He's done some stuff like The Social Network, David Fincher, but yeah, I don't really know him. So
oh, wow.
yeah,
Nice. Well, congratulations, man. That is huge.
it's huge. It's my big break.
Awesome. All right. Anything about the class before we
Get yourself a satchel, a bribe satchel. I need one of those.
There you go. There you go. UCLA bribe satchel.
Right. We did functional requirements versus non-functional requirements.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. We'll just do one more. One
The,
more
the
project. Okay.
Pelican Hill white glove, white plate. That was
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
That right, Chris? That story never gets old. Oh my God. I keep telling Mike he needs to write a book called The Lady in the White Gloves.
Just a bunch of collection of random project stories.
Yes. No, I think that it'll be a great airport read. You know, one of those like this thin enough, bring on airport, you fly to Chicago and back, and then you finish it, right? So it's a nice 230-page book. Lady in the White Glove. All right. Well, with that, guys, thank you so much for your time. It has been a journey indeed. This last day is always bittersweet for myself and Mike because it does take a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get through all of the material. And as you know, 10 Fridays, a lot happens, right? And we're able to power through. So thank you, everyone. We're still around. So again, our commitment is to help you get through and over the hump of the PMP test and help with healthcare projects.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. With that, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ian.
Thanks so
Thank you.
much.
Ian.
Thank
Alright.
you.
Thank you,
Yes.
Ian.
Was that passive aggressive, Chris?
What? No,
I'm kidding.
that was good.
So Mike, when we were doing our communication, I subconsciously always picked on Chris to be the role of the passive aggressive communicator. And so
Which is hilarious because I can be passive aggressive sometimes.
so that was just a callback from that joke.
So Ian has great people reading skills. Like he sees things whether you want him to see them or not sometimes.
Incredible. Wow. All right. Well, truthfully, thank you.
No, thanks, Chris.
All right.
Take care, Victor. See you at Blockbuster.
Yeah.